and today we're speaking to Nick Barrett from Pendragon. How you doing, Nick?
Very well, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. A storming set last night.
Yeah, thank you.
Were you pleased with the way it went?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. To sort of come here and where we were asked to do this, great, fantastic. Prog rock. Where's it going to be? North Wales. Yeah, okay. Whereabouts? Pwllheli. Yeah, okay. I really didn't know what it was going to be like because, we've never really done a gig this side of Snowdonia. I don't think anyone has. It's just incredible to turn up and see that many people here, and it's a great setup. So people to get the whole weekend here, and there's a lot going on. So, what's not to love?
Yeah. Did you feel that it came across, that you represented Pendragon in the best way that you could?
Yeah, I mean, normally, our sets can go on for days. Sometimes, we've been known to play for about 3 hours.
Oh my life.
Yeah, it's just if the mood's right, it just goes on. But having a sort of 1.5 hour slot means you can really sort of like compact it down, sort of like pick out the songs that you think are going to work best live. I did get a message actually that we nearly overran. We were going to have to cut a song out, so we started speeding up a little bit.
What were the sound levels like, the acoustics for you? Were they good?
They were really good.
Yeah,
it was kind of nice, powerful sound on stage. Good setup with the lights and the screens and everything like that. I mean, it's this perfect setup for a band like us. It's a good size kind of audience and crowd. That set up the sides of the stage and everything. You can use the stage.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Because I was imagining in the early days you must have played some very small venues.
Yeah, we still do.
Oh, really?
Well, sometimes. Well, there's a place in when we go to Poland. There's when you suddenly get into East Germany, there's no gigs to play at all, apart from this one little place in Reichenbach, and it's this guy's lounge. But he's become such a character and part of our sort of touring thing that we always go back there, and it's always absolutely ram-packed. It's about the size of this area here.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely ram-packed, and it's our little sort of stopover. He always does a barbecue, and you get the Jägermeister the moment you walk in at 8 o'clock in the morning, yeah. So, yeah, we do. I mean, smaller gigs have a great vibe too, Bet more so than really big gigs, I think.
Yeah, because Poland's a very strong audience for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What kind of audience do you attract there? What kind of numbers? It's an average gig.
Well, it could be between sort of 500 and 700.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really massive. We're not really massive anywhere, really. But that's the thing about this sort of thing, it's quite sort of underground, but in its genre, we do well in countries. I mean, it's the same in places like France as well. We've done very well in France.
So obviously doing a gig like this is, it's great, because you've got a whole room full of people who are willing to listen to the music,
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about this is that, they're not specifically Pendragon people. So you're playing to a lot of new people and hopefully, getting through to converting some people to the band, which is that's a very exciting challenge. It's always has been. I mean, when we've done things like Rambling Man and High Voltage, you're playing to a lot of other bands' fans, and you can sort of see when the audience is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like at Rambling Man, it just increased. So by the end of it, there was a heck of a lot of people there, and it's kind of going right when that happens. The worst thing is if they go away.
Do you prefer indoor gigs or outdoor gigs?
Well, I really like sort of. It depends on the sound. I mean, quite so often outside, if you've got a little bit of wind, it sort of carries the sound away a bit, and it can sound quite sort of small and quite lonesome sometimes. Yeah. There's a gig we're doing called Lorelei a festival in Lorelei.
Yeah.
There's usually a few thousand people at that. And, sometimes the sound can be a bit small and it's a weird experience. And yet you can play somewhere like, like the old Marquee Club in Wardour Street. It's quite small, but, with 500 people in there, everything just was perfect. The sound, the vibe, it was sort of like all held in by the fact it was an inside venue. So it was great.
Obviously you've been around since the 80s, you know, with what we call the second wave of British prog, along with bands like Marillion, IQ, Arena, Palace. If you had to give advice to young and up-and-coming prog bands now, what would that be?
It's the same advice as I gave to my son. Don't. I said to my son, because he actually started a music course a while ago. He's not doing that anymore, but he did start a music course at college. I said, the two bits of advice I give you, son. He was like, yeah, what advice can you give me, old man? I said, don't ever join a prog band. And always be the singer in your band. Never be in a band where someone else is the singer, because they'll drive you absolutely insane. No, not really. I mean, for any new prog bands, it's, you know, you're not going to become a millionaire over it. So if you're doing it for the money, it's forget it. But for the actual kind of artistry and the love of music, the great thing about this is it can go. I mean, there's some brilliant new bands. There's a band called Sweet Billy Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard a couple of tracks of that. I mean, to me, that is the best prog songs I've heard for years. So, you know, you come across something like that, and then I read an interview with these guys, how difficult it was to get their last album together, you know, financially and everything. You think, man, you know, it's such a struggle for a lot of new bands now. I mean, back in the 80s, we were lucky that we could support Marillion, and, you know, we could get a real good leg up. By doing Reading Festival and the Friday Rock Show. These things really kind of helped us build a following. But for bands now, you know, it's so 10 a penny with YouTube and the internet, everything. How do you stand out among all that lot? I mean, the advice that someone gave me back then is you just got to keep going. You just keep persevering, and you will eventually break down some barriers. So all I would say to anyone starting out a new prog band now is you've just got to keep going. You know, if you really want to do it, if you can afford to do it. I mean, it's got harder. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I look at some of the younger bands now and think, wow, you know, they got a hard road ahead of them.
Have there been times in the past where you've thought about giving up?
Well, you do when you want to sort of be dramatic, don't you? I just can't take this anymore. You know, and then, I mean, me and Clive used to have this thing where we used to go down to this cafe in Maidenhead, you know, with our cups of coffee, and we sit there just thinking, I just can't carry on doing it. You know, you just know what you're saying. It's just spilling out, but you're kind of getting all that out. And then you think, right, well, let's get back to rehearsals then. You know, it doesn't really last very long. But, you know, there's so many ups and downs with being a musician. I mean, I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but, you know, there's times where you really are stony broke. And then, you know, you kind of do quite well for a bit. And then, so it's kind of a very pothole course. So, there are kind of moments, I think, where as long as you can have a break from it for a while and you know, come back to it with fresh ideas, you know, you can never really take the band out of somebody. They're always the music out of somebody. They're always going to come back and want to do it again, make more albums. It's like apparently women have this with babies. They've had a baby, they go through all that pain of having a baby, and then a couple of years later, yeah, let's have another baby. You know, they just do it again.
Yeah, I can see the logic in that. Obviously, we've spoke earlier about the new album that you've got in the works.
Yeah.
When can we expect that? In the next couple of years, maybe?
Yeah, I think the next couple of years. I mean, I started working on it. Have been for the last. Well, I'm always working on ideas. There's always every morning I get up, play guitar, and you know, some days no ideas will come. Some days a whole song was, you know, how are we going to present that and do this and add that, and it just builds like it's a jigsaw puzzle. So I don't really know how long that would take to do.
Well, I'm sure when it comes out, it'll be another classic.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Nick, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you.
Oh, thank you.
You
Cheers.
a very good future.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.